Sorry. Right. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the June meeting of the Policy and Regulatory Committee. Are there any apologies for this afternoon? Councillor Stringer sent an apology. Otherwise, all members of the committee here, if I can have a move that apology be accepted, please. Mayor Bell, seconded by Councillor Dixon. All those in favour say aye. Against, carried. By way of introduction to the meeting, we have a fairly brief agenda today, but I just wanted to give a brief update to councillors in that hearings on the district plan started last week and fairly intensive time for the 4 hearing commissioners involved. That includes Councillor Dixon. You will see a green folder on my desk, which is the papers from the hearing last week. The blue folder is just a copy of the reports for the next hearing that is in 2 weeks' time. So that will increase by about 50% again. So the workload for each of the hearing weeks is relatively demanding on all concerned, but we enjoy what we're doing and we'll carry it out as best we can. Also, this is a carryover from the meeting that was going to be held last month but was held back because it was the only meeting set down for that day and there wasn't a lot on the agenda. There was an item in that agenda in relation to a report regarding CATS policy or bylaw that Council had asked for at the Council meeting. That is not in this agenda. It's a reflection of I guess a lack of staff resources to dedicate and respond to issues at this time, so no doubt we'll hear more on that at a later date. So with the items that we've got on the agenda, the first item is the Regulatory Services Report that has come from Francis Shepherd, who's away overseas on leave at present. Are there any comments or feedback that councillors want to give in relation to that report? I would note that in relation to a couple of things like abandoned vehicles, numbers seem to be down in the last 12 months. Possibly people are holding on to their vehicles a bit more than they were in the past. Noise control levels this year, complaints much the same as previous years. Litter, there's less complaints that council's received quite significantly for illegally dumped rubbish. And animal services actions required are down slightly this year compared to previous other years. So other than noting those, we have a recommendation that the report be received. So there's a question coming from Council McDonough.
Yeah, just one question here for the infringement notices for animals. We had 107 in November. It seems in other months are 1, 2, 3 and 4.
I think you might find that relates to people who haven't paid their dog fees on time and council chasing them up. Mayor Bell.
Thank you, Chair. Not so much a question, but a comment. Could we get these in graph forms in the future? I really appreciate the data here, but it's kind of hard to see the trends and whether there's a risk occurring. That's probably all we need from a governance angle.
And when you compare it to what we see, the Building Control Manager's report, nice and easy to see trends, even in black and white. So I'm sure that will be noted.
Happy to move as well, Chair.
Yeah, note that and pass it on.
Right, so Mayor Bell, you were moving that the report be accepted, seconded Councillor McDonald. All those in favour say aye. Against, carried. The second report we have is on resource consent update, and this report was prepared for the previous meeting, and there may well be an update from Joanne Scoos.
Hi, good evening everyone. So I've got updated numbers for the month of May.
We had 10 resource consents issued, all within statutory timeframes, and 10 new resource consents received. So definitely an uplift in the last month in terms of the numbers. So we're now sitting at 24 for the year.
Any comments and feedback from councillors in terms of what's in the report? Councillor Fraser.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I've just got 2 questions. Page 9, under looking ahead, you talk about the biannual accreditation.
That's under the next item.
Is it?
Yes. We're dealing with the resource consents at this stage.
Sorry, I do apologise. I've jumped ahead.
I will note in terms of the consent update that there have been 2 objections received in recent months to the level of fees charged by applicants, and I was appointed as a commissioner to consider those, and decisions have been issued in relation to those 2 objections. I also note on page 7 that there's 29 applications, of which 24 are on hold, pending deposit to be paid. Is that normal?
No, so it's those ones are on hold for various reasons, whether it's deposits awaiting to be paid or on hold for further information, written approvals, or at the applicant's request. We've actually undertaken an exercise just in the last month of reviewing those long-term holds, resource consents that have been on hold for sort of a matter of months or potentially longer. So we've done a bit of tidying up in terms of that and returned some applications that have been on hold for too long, following consultation with those applicants to see if they would like to continue with their resource consents or not. So we are now down to 24 applications in for processing, 10 of which are on hold. The rest of them are moving through the process.
All right, so we have a motion that the report be received. If I can have a mover and seconder, please. Councillor Fraser moving, and a second, Councillor McDonald second. Any further discussion? Appears to be not. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. Item 3, the report from the Building Control Manager. Councillor Fraser.
This time, thank you, Mr. Chair. So page 9, we're looking at the biannual accreditation, and it says in their limited resources. I take that's person power. Is that the reason that it will be slow?
Through the chair, I'm just trying to understand your question there, Andy. But
Page 9.
yes,
Looking ahead, bullet point 1, the biannual accreditation. Upcoming assessment of being paid. Given the limited resources we have available to do these tasks, as well as keeping up with business as usual.
oh sure,
Yep.
yep, absolutely. As you might have noticed when you come into this meeting, the meeting room 3 and 4 are in use. We've got our auditors in there this week. They're in there now. Yesterday and today, and 2 more days yet. Yes, it is the biannual IANZ accreditation scheduled for this week, and yeah, I guess when I say we've got limited resources, we've got a full team. However, when you're doing business as usual and doing audits and doing preparation work for an audit assessment like this, things do get a little bit stretched, and we're just probably fortunate that the building climate out there at the moment is a wee bit reserved. So if it was like it was 18 months ago, we'd be absolutely under the hammer. So I'm just making a point that because we are in a bit of a lull time, we can actually handle what's going on at the moment. So yeah, happy to take any further questions on that.
Councillor Richard McPhail. I'll come back to you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. So I take it this accreditation is quite important to have, though, and it's not something that we'd want to put off for any great length of time.
No, it's in legislation. It's something we must have, otherwise we can't operate as a building consent authority to issue consents, do inspections, certify work, etc. Or we'd have to divulge those responsibilities to another BCA or another council. Yeah.
Councillor Richard McPhail.
Yes, just through the chair for Russell there. Yeah, obviously, what's that, 85 consents down for the financial. Is that correct? And about $28 million in value from last year?
That is almost correct.
Yeah, roughly around that. So
Yep.
what I'm looking at is obviously work component. Obviously, there is quite a substantial amount of work that has dropped away there. And you're saying you're sitting on the level. Are we sitting in a position, like, are we suitable if we go forward? And what's the feeling as the, or you'll know within the area what's waiting for us? Is there an avalanche waiting, or are we just going to quietly keep heading this way? Because that is a substantial drop in our consents for the financial year. So two prongs. One, you're obviously sitting okay staff-wise and resource-wise. Two, are we expecting this to suddenly go whoomp if there's a change within the financial situation with New Zealand or globally or nationally or whatever?
Yep, absolutely. I can answer those for you. The figures you're seeing there in those building consent stats, they're only up till the end of May, so they've still got the June figures to add, which have been populated in the bulletin report, which I don't think has quite made the website yet. However, it only adds another 26, 27, 28 consents to that figure. So substantially, yeah, we are down from 325 for the total last year to approximately 265, 267. So it's quite a substantial drop. But that, you've got to take into consideration a year ago, we're still on the honeymoon side of COVID, you know, the boost after COVID and some of those, not shovel ready, but some of those major projects that flowed on. We are hearing from some of the tradies out there, some are light for work, some have got a lot lined up and are looking for more staff. So there's a bit of a balance out there. I think it depends on who the company is, what sort of area they're into, and whether they've got a good name and hold in the community. We're also seeing, you may have noticed, the commercial side of construction seems to carry on when there's a lull. Some developers choose to invest when there's a lull in say residential builds, and they've perhaps got more of a feel that they can get tradies on site and they're not having to wait behind multi-million-dollar homes perhaps. So we are seeing a bit of a trend that things are starting to pick up. Yeah. Cheers.
I note under building warrant of fitness that there's a number of BWAFs that are overdue from last month, 10 of them. What are the implications for the owners of the property?
Okay, through the chair, this is something we discuss at every Monday morning team meeting, and we discussed this yesterday morning, and several of those have now been provided, several of those overdue ones. So the next part is to obviously follow that up again through compliance, and then if necessary go down the notice to fix avenue, which is where we've headed, and we've advised building owners that is the next step for those that don't wish to comply or can't comply. Yep.
And I also note that while not everyone is perfect, the building consents team's pretty close to it, because of all the matters being dealt with, there was only one, and it was one CCC out of the 24 where it wasn't processed within the allowable time.
Yes, correct, and I think I was responsible for that. It's interesting because some things do, I wouldn't say get lost in the trees, but it only takes a small thing and it gets tripped up, and then it's over time, and you're trying to juggle all other aspects as well. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Any other feedback, comments? Councillor Reid.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question for, excuse me, Russell, around consenting. Given that the government seems to have put a hold on the Longford site at the moment for housing, how's that, if that uplifts, and I know that's in the realms of who knows when, what's the impact going to be on consenting for us then, for timeframes and staffing issues?
Through the chair, specifically for that site, nothing, because we won't be involved in it. Kaingora have their own BCA effectively that process their own consents through Kaiangora, Consentium. So we've asked the question whether we're going to be involved or not, and we're not getting an answer. So we're tending to think that we're not going to be involved. Yeah. Other than just being the record keeper for TA records at the end of the process. Yeah.
I guess the Kaiwera wind farm may have some impact though on.
To some degree. There is, I think, one, what do you call it, control room building associated with that, that we'll see a building consent for, but the wind towers themselves are exempt works as being NUO, Network Utility Operator Foundation, basically. Yeah.
Right, any other comments, feedback? Councillor Dixon, then Mayor Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just a question for you, Russell. I'm just wondering if the changes to the building products certified by the government, when they bring that in, is that going to mean a lot of extra costs for you having to upgrade documentation or training, and will it mean maybe more building because it'll bring in more competition for builders?
Through the chair, yeah, potentially. Whether it means more resourcing or time or costs for us, I'm not entirely sure at this point. There possibly will be some training and webinars that we'd need to upskill on. I can see it being a plus, but can also be it being a nuisance if some of the products come in and there's not a lot of verification behind them. And hopefully we'd lean on MB to make sure that that verification process is quite robust. Because we're not seeing the proof of it yet, because it's still sort of in its infancy. Yeah.
Mayor Bell.
Thank you, Chair. I think one of my questions was answered just around forecasting. We are looking like it's going to get out of this lull relatively soon. Seeing nods. Yeah.
I would suggest maybe towards the end of the year we're probably going to see a more of an increase. The normal winter things, like, I mean, we've got several consents in at the moment, but there's a lot of solar fuel heaters, a lot of bathroom upgrades, a lot of that smaller work, plus the commercial stuff, and a few group homes are coming back in now, which disappeared about a year ago. So we're starting to see those, likes of in Matai Ridge. You know, there's 3 or 4 consents in process or issued for there. So yeah, I think it's starting to take off.
Thank you for that. That does sound positive. The other question I had was, I don't know if you've talked to neighbours or surrounding councils, but are they seeing similar trends as well of this fall off? We're not singled out by any means?
Yes, through the Chairman, yeah, absolutely. It seems to be quite a trend across the Lower South Island at least. I don't know about further beyond that, but yeah, I think everyone's seen a lull in consents from that sort of September, October last year, pre-election, through till probably about March, April, and then it started to boost again. Yeah.
Right, we have a recommendation the report be received. If I can have a mover and seconder, please. Councillor Richard McPhail moving, Councillor Fraser seconding. Any further discussion? Councillor McKenzie.
Just a quick comment, Keith. Through my clients, etc., I have at work, builders, etc. Some have had a year's work booked in that's disappeared, but it's slowly coming back. I'm just agreeing with what Russell's saying. You know, I've got clients I can't name, etc., but some of them have had work for a year, and all of a sudden it disappeared, but it's slowly creeping back again. So that's slightly positive. Just a comment. Thank you.
All right, anything else? All right, we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. That brings us to the end of the agenda. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen and staff, for your attendance.